Not sadly. What do you get? I was getting enough for the base from the talk later. Okay. So today is going to be a buyer's timeline. And we're gonna do this a little bit differently. As opposed to like the PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to go through a bit of a worksheet. That will outline kind of buyers from being interested to closing to following up. It's gonna be a sheet that I'll make available on the Academy Facebook page. But it's also the precursor to the way the class is going to be run in the future. So December 1st, when we're finished the sellers module, December 1st-ish will be the first business planning session. So during those sessions, we're gonna have on your phone or on your computer, you'll be able to log into your own little web portal. And in that web portal, you'll click on the session. You'll enter a code that we give you just before the session, just to confirm attendance, show that you've done it. You'll go into the session, and then there'll be a worksheet that we work through, that's just a straight worksheet. I'll talk, I'll have a tiny bit of a PowerPoint presentation just to remind me of what to talk about. And then we'll just go through it. There'll be little mini exercises like, your why exercise is going to be early on. So we'll have like top 5 whys, and you hit enter and it'll be there for you. So at the end of the session, you can print it if you want, or a year from now, you can go back to that session as well, or search the sessions and be able to kind of see or find out, little things that you want to do. So hopefully a lot more engaging. Once you're done the worksheet, we'll work through it all together, obviously. Once you're finished the worksheet, there'll be like a little exercise, probably 2 or 3 questions, not very much. And then when you complete the exercise, you complete the session, and you've done that session kind of the first time around or whatever. So it'll help you guys be able to see like, hey, I'm missing, here for this. So hopefully for us, it'll be a way to make sure people are in person. It will be in person only, except if there is like a logistics issue. Crystal's in Athabasca, so clearly that's a logistics. She'll work through the sessions just the same way we do as well. Yeah, so this is kind of a little bit of how we'll run the sessions going forward. Okay. Not going forward, sorry, beginning on December 1st. First or second. Okay. So I wanted to ask, did anybody get a chance to rip the sample buyer's guides out of the Academy group and into Canva, and then alter them to kind of your needs?
Yes.
Anybody? Yes, nice, very cool. I think Nate, you did too.
Grandma knows my own.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I knew you showed me one, so. Maybe in a couple of days, we'll just kind of go through buyer's guides and just chat about them, and then others can get inspired too. But just a reminder, you can go into the Academy app, there's sample buyer's guides in there. You can download them and then import them into Canva, and then it imports these so you can change everything, any images, or takeaway pages, add pages, whatever you want. So please don't forget about that. It can be a tool for you in the future. Okay, and the other thing we covered, and we'll move from this into the buyer's timeline, is the sales pyramid. And I just want to remind everybody that, the bottom half, the bottom 70%, so most of the people you work with are going to be the people who desire to purchase. They want to purchase, but they're not sure how, they can't yet. So those folks you have to keep relevant. These are all going to translate into the buyer's timeline. The second set of people are scared to purchase. They're 25% of your sales funnel or sales pyramid. These people you have to start booking appointments with and meeting them with purpose. And then the top 5% are the ready to purchase folks. And obviously your call to action there is to book appointments as soon as possible. the 5% can come from anywhere and surprise the heck out of you. In fact, they can go from, keeping relevance, so you sending them info or newsletter or whatever the case may be, calling them. They can jump from, kind of unsure how to realizing they are able pretty quickly. So all three segments, I guess, just want you guys to think about how you're gonna start approaching it. If you're calling, the 70% will generally be who you're calling. So what are you doing? Sit down, hurry up.
Said I would drop in to see what the new one was.
So the 70%, the keep relevant folks are going to be the people you're calling, the primary people you're calling. So literally, I think these numbers can come from personal experience calling, and Tina can help with this, but I would say 70% out of 170 that you call are going to be just that keeping relevant. 25 are going to be people that are interested and that you should be meeting with, and then 5% are going to be that call now. So 5 out of 100 calls, 5 out of 100 contacts, maybe is a better way to put it. 5 out of 100 contacts are ready. 25 are, you can nurture them over the next couple months, and then the 70% are keep relevant but can surprise you. So, and don't forget these, especially in the case of making phone calls, these 70 are like you don't even know where they're at. So you just have to even quickly move them up the pyramid as well.
Tim, I cannot see the screen.
That's because I'm not sharing it.
Oh, please.
Thank you. Yeah, Shaylin is not here. It's very good.
Tech support, tech support's at the
Yeah,
office.
quick support. Oh, no. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna move on from this, but is there any questions about this kind of pyramid idea, moving people up the pyramid? So much, okay. So now I want to jump into what I believe should be a buyer's timeline when you're thinking about those three categories. So the scared to purchase, the interested, and the I think you're going to handle each of them slightly different. But I want to leave you with this after the session, because I believe this is the timeline and some of the tips and tricks on how to work with a buyer from the time they identify themselves in your sphere of influence, the time they outreach via social media, the time that you door knock them and they're interested in moving, buying, and then from the time that they sign up for your website or however else you're doing it online. Okay? And in each of the techniques, each of the pillars, they're separate, but the process is the exact same. It's just when do they become activated? And they'll say that that's kind of the starting point. Activation meaning talking to you. I'm talking to you about real estate. Okay. And this kind of assumes that the timeline kind of is a continuous moving forward. Doesn't really cover when, you kind of move back or somebody isn't interested but said they were. So we can talk about that, but we won't get into it too much. What the heck? I don't like having to do this. How do you minimize this in Zoom,
Minimum, the top bar.
This little bar?
No, you can't minimize.
Why not?
Click on layout, click on layout.
That's right. I'm
No,
not.
it's layout, that's what it is. Up, there,
Oh, okay.
click on that guy.
As
It's
background, yeah.
Which one?
As background top corner.
That one?
I don't know.
Okay. Right, just, it doesn't. No, it's so.
Mix it up.
Okay, so you guys have to realize this is really important. There's two pieces that run in parallel to each other during any buyer relationship / journey. And number one is the most important, and that's their emotional journey. You will outperform every single realtor, most realtors, if you can focus on that person's emotional journey. A lot of people, a lot of realtors will focus on their technical journey. So I'll use just, because I beat it up all the time, and today I got my app. So a lot of people will focus on the technical piece, meaning like the saved searches, the Paragon searches, anything kind of the techie side of the process. But everybody has an emotional need to buy a house, an emotional desire to buy a house. It's either, their emotions are frustration because they can't figure out the financing. Some emotion might be fear because they're nervous to do this. The technical process does not overcome the emotional journey, right? The emotions are the emotions. In fact, the technical piece sometimes has a practical way of scaring people even more, right? So they're receiving all these suggested listings, looking, you get 10 listings, or you get 0 listings, and they're really nervous that they're not getting anything. Those can, I'm not saying they do, the pros might outweigh everything, but it can happen where a person gets even more fearful, nervous, or anxious because of the way information's sent to them from us. So just remember, the emotional journey outweighs any of the technical piece. We're going to get in more into the technical piece right now, but I just want you to know that I think every transaction I've ever done, ever watched, the technical, the contract, the negotiating, all of that just adds to their emotions. And if you're not in tune with somebody's emotion, you're gonna have, you'll still complete transactions, but they probably won't be as smooth or as effective and get as many referrals if you're not in tune with their emotions. Everybody runs and asks me, to look at the, look at the contracts, but really contract doesn't matter until you're to a point where you're ready to write a contract, then we can worry about it. I'd rather you focus on the person's journey from an emotional standpoint. That would be the way you win it every time. And if you are in tune with their emotions, you're able to deal with things that might come up, technical things that might come up during a transaction, of which there are tons. Like somebody I know very closely, fucked up, messed up a couple dates, and had a deposit happening at 9 o'clock last night, or deposit time frame 9 o'clock last night, and a condo doc condition at 5 o'clock yesterday. So the buyers got the condo docs before they made a deposit. But those are the things, right? So she knows her client really well, knows how the person would feel, and super attention to detail he is. So he noticed and he had issues, and it was just they figured it out. But just tiny little things like that. So the emotional side, because they're totally 100% connected. They're 100% connected, or they're 80% connected. But the emotional journey, she knew that he would kind of not be happy. So even unhappiness you can overcome when you know the person's emotion. So our job is to do both. We have to find a house, but we have to be curious. We have to understand the person's mindset, and then we have to do that forever, because they're going to be our clients and our past clients forever. If they sign an exclusive buyer's agreement, they're our clients, and that's a great opportunity to think of them as clients forever. So just the sales pyramid on practical terms on how it actually factors into the process and the movement of people. So the 70%, your job is to keep relevant. They have, you know, they're early on in the process and you should consider them to be long-term nurtures that you're trying to get into the 25 or into the 5% as quickly as possible, if that's what they want. So the focus is emotional. Build trust, educate. Educate means removing anxiety or dealing with anxiety and staying top of mind. So if you're able to talk to somebody in that keep relevant, they may not seem important now, but if you know a tiny little bit about them and you put it into your CRM, like they are dog hunters and dog lovers.
There's a dog.
You are dog lovers,
Other way.
dog lovers and need a backyard, but you know, so that's an emotional piece. And you start sending them zero lot line product. You know, you're not really meeting their emotional needs. Unless, of course, we talk about when we deal with the dog, we talk about the realities, the house they can get, then they decide to buy zero lot line. So the emotional piece is important early on. So let's say you call that person today, or they reach out to you today. Make sure you have notes that the dog's important, because the minute you start sending homes for them to look at that don't meet their requirements, just makes you look like a bad realtor, and you are a bad realtor. Or not a bad realtor, but just less focused, less understanding, and you just won't be connected as effectively with them. Not a bad realtor, sorry. And the other thing is, as their requirements change, usually if there's something like, if somebody tells me that the dog is the most important thing in their real estate journey, it usually doesn't end up being that way. So what that tells me is the requirements today are going to be far different than what they are 6 months from now. So if I'm sending them only homes with 600 square meter yards and 3 bedrooms, it may change to like smaller yards. They can walk the dog. There's a dog park over there, so their requirements can change and alter over time. And that can be the danger when you are sending listings that don't meet their expectations. You're sending them all of these big yards, but they're overpriced, or you know, whatever the case may be. So make sure you understand their emotional piece. And usually dogs are a good indication. Obviously, kids are a good indication of where a person might want to live and the size of the house they might want to have based on their budget. Also, until somebody in this keep relevant side has a pre-approval, we don't know how much money they're shopping with, so we don't know what their wallet looks like. When they go to the grocery store, can they afford, you know, everything in the store? Can they only afford bananas? You know, where are they at in terms of value? So oftentimes we'll set searches to be $250 to $450, let's say. But in the meantime, somebody gets a pre-approval at 500, and suddenly we're out of their search parameters. So all of these parameters can change on a dime. It's better to know their motivation and where they're at. Okay. Cool. And then just your role in the situation with the 70%, be chill, be calm, be relaxed. They do not deserve commission breath. They are going to be buyers in the future, but maybe not right now. So move them up. These are the people who, I'm going to go to the calling example, but this is the same for any other pillar. So on the calling front, these are the people you can call 10 times in the course of, you know, 2 months and have really productive conversations with them every single time, right? So when you have that, maybe you have 100 leads, these people can account for 10 calls each, okay? That's in addition to the calls that are taken to try to get a hold of them, which is a 20% success rate. So you may have in a database of 100, you may have 300 calls in that database. 20% are gonna get connected with people. And of that 20, 70% are gonna be in this, in the keep relevant status 25.5. Okay? So you can see how just these calls compound on themselves. 100 leads, how many calls a day? No, not just you, but like in general, what do you think?
100 leads, calls a day, if I touched every, like today, we'll just use my example today, I had 40 I'm dealing with. And some of them I'm on calls wise, I'm already at 30 done so far, and I'm still have more to do
Today,
but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna have more. That's early. I still have them reaching back to me, or they'll text me, then I'll call them and
yeah. So it's, and the cool thing is like getting a hold of the people that you talked to a week ago. Let's just say as an example, I don't know if this is the right thing, in terms of frequency, but let's just say 10 days. So you talk to somebody one day, 10 days later, you have a reminder to call them. You call them the 10 days after. Don't be starting from scratch. Have good notes, understand what they want, understand what your conversation was, and then continue the conversation, which is the nurture piece. Move people up the ladder. And if your world is about calling, just continue to talk to people, have fun with the conversations. Like, I'm not a scripting person after all these years. There's a place for some minor scripting that I teach, but aside from that, it's about like having just a fun phone call. If you're having fun, they're likely to have fun. If you're just like reading from like a downline script, they're not having fun, and there's probably not going to be a lot of emotional engagement. But if you can tweak the emotions and then tweak them and the conversation, schedule them for 10 days from now, call them again, talk to them about something else. Well, you're not going to get a hold of them all the time, so get a hold of them for 20% of the calls. You'll try them 5 times, you'll get a hold of them, and then you'll have another conversation. So that's accounts for 12 calls for one person.
there's some I have there, done 200 calls.
Yeah, on 40 people. So easily, you could probably triple quadruple actually, the number of, actually, you can do five times the number of leads, because you only get people 20, you only get to talk to them 20% of the time. So you can do 500 calls on 100 leads. It's just nurturing.
So you're saying out of the 500, you'll get 100 people that you'll like have conversations with?
Correct. Yeah, generally speaking,
What are the calls you make?
so our, just on the system, our average is like 22% right now. The industry average is 19-ish%, so we're a little bit ahead of that, but it is 1 in 5. Roughly.
That's what, like, that's for a lead, right?
Like nurturable.
Yeah,
Well,
talkable, right? It's people who answer the phone.
there's gotta be, like, that's gotta be internet. Like,
Yes,
if you're doing,
yes,
if
yes,
you're doing with your sphere of
Yeah, yeah,
influence, and you have
no,
a
no.
lead from your sphere of influence, like,
They're
and they're not answering the phone, like, then you
Yeah,
probably doing something wrong.
Probably
Like-
higher on your sphere, but I'll bet you it's not that much higher. I'll bet you it's not that much.
Sphere of influence?
Well, depending on what that means to you. If that's friends and family, you're probably gonna have them. But if it's your
Right.
broader past work colleagues, like, depends what you call your sphere.
Right,
But it's gonna be higher, no doubt about it. But
Right.
it's not gonna be like 70%.
really? I
No.
would assume it would be 70%.
Well, if it's your uncle, aunt, sister, brother, yeah,
Yeah, but
maybe
if
it's
it's like a
like
guy you
100%.
play hockey with, or a guy you
Yeah,
like.
try it. It'll take you 5
No,
calls to get
yeah.
your hockey buddy.
I send out lots of messages and
Mhm.
there's like, I thought I would get a higher return on response and
It's fascinating.
it was pretty good, but not what I expected.
Okay, well,
It's just, then it becomes volume, so. So with that 70%, honestly, that's your goal, like, that's where everything is, and this is why dead leads or old leads that people are willing to call. These are people who may have reached out to you 1 year ago, 2 years ago. and that are suddenly ready to do something. So, this 70% is important, but it's just, this one's a numbers game.
Yeah, you can say like, I've been doing calls, lots of calls, and I've got about 400 in the grouping. But it doesn't mean I haven't talked to about 1,000 of them before that,
Yeah.
and we will spend, I've got, my oldest ones are about a year and a half. And they're now just starting to get into the middle.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of work to get to the middle, and the other ones are moving up. It's a lot of fun.
And you pop off, like there's one here, one there, and then it's, so you'll have an instance, Sherry had one. A week ago. I'll call it a unicorn.
Yeah.
So a week ago, and it's, sorry, on the weekend, and it's pending today. They're doing an inspection Thursday, she's not gonna be able to be at our meeting. And that'll just happen. It's not gonna be common, but that will happen. For sure. Wait, the 25%, here you guys just need to turn that curiosity into some kind of commitment. Can you shut that again? Sorry. What I mean by this is, because they're unsure, they're trying to figure things out. There's tons of curiosity with this section of your pyramid. So your job is to turn that curiosity into meetings, into physical and or Zoom meetings and or showings, but turn that curiosity into bookings. The call now, I think, is obvious. Just they're ready, don't stand in their way. Just let them go, work with them, and just go for it. And again, these might be, Tina just said, a year and a half later, they might be last weekend, it could be absolutely anywhere inside of this pyramid to jump up to this call rate. And obviously, this is and move fast. Here's where time matters. These people aren't married to you typically unless they're your sphere. So they will use another realtor who pops up at the same minute as you. So just be quick to meet, really quick to meet, and just start to establish that relationship as quickly as possible. These are the ones where you'll call them today, you'll chat with them. They'll tell you they're looking, they're ready. And then you say, hey, I'll call you back in a week. And you call back in a week and they've bought a house through another realtor. It just happens. If you would have booked an appointment with them, met with them face to face, understood each other, they would not have bought the house. So, yeah, step by step. So the first contact in my mind is just an opening contact. So people will say the first contact is the most important. I don't believe that at all. I think that the first contact is your trigger to start nurturing a client or a buyer. That contact should result in follow-up, scheduled follow-up in your CRM, on a spreadsheet, whatever the case may be, on a calendar. But once you've talked to somebody and had a semi-decent conversation with them, even a crappy conversation with them, you should always be thinking follow-up. And from a numbers game, this is a good number because the person picked up the phone once already. You're probably going to get them with maybe less than 5 calls, 2 calls. But make sure that you're trying to leave the meeting with kind of their pain points. Right? Why are they doing this? Why did they sign up for, why did they look at your ad, click on your ad, and complete a sign up form, and agree that you would call them, right? So why is that? Sometimes people will say, well, I didn't click on the ad, or didn't want to call, but 100% of the time, depending on how your systems are set up, but for the most part, that will be like a brush off excuse. just something to stop you from continuing to ask questions. But, but they're interested in real estate. 100% of the time, at least on our system, like 100% of the time, that person is curious about the house. So just keep that in your mind when you're like, hey, I'm so nervous to talk with this person. Don't be nervous. They, they activated and put their hand up in some fashion. Don't be shy to talk to people.
So
Yeah.
what would be like a good counter when they're trying to brush it off?
Yeah.
I just accidentally clicked on it,
Awesome.
or I didn't need to.
What do you get better one is I didn't inquire. Then you're
Yeah.
like, are you Tim Grover? Like, yes, and you didn't inquire, I just.
No,
got your information.
here's this easy as you guys need to think about it. So, there's two concepts, hearing and acknowledgement. So always acknowledge the question. I didn't sign up. It wasn't me. Oh, really? That's happening so much lately. And then just go into your, what are you interested in? So just always acknowledge the brush off by just saying, like, literally the acknowledgement is the technique, and the acknowledgement just means acknowledging the question. Amazing question. I have no idea why this is happening, but obviously like that house showed to you for some reason, what are you interested in? People who try to brush you off are always, are commonly open to committing to talking with you as well. And I know for me personally, like my personal experience with people who call me, I initially try to get rid of them. And then if they are clever and interesting, I'll continue the conversation. But if they're stupid and like just passive and just, oh, I don't know how we signed you up, or, you did sign up, or like having some kind of pushing match with them, that's a zero chance. But if you acknowledge and you're clever about it and have some fun with it, I always have fun. Like, I always say, it's been happening a lot lately. I have no idea why. It must be a system error. Are you a Facebook user? Like, I'll have fun with it. But it's like, this is where, for me, scripting falls down in our business. Because it's an emotional, when somebody tries to get rid of you or has the not interested, wasn't me, just looking, those are the three major objections. I don't even, like, I'll consider them and I'll acknowledge that that person has that concern, and then I'll move on to what I want to talk about. But, and again, this is a numbers game, so that's not gonna work 100% of the time. But if it works 50% or 40% or 30% of the time, I'm okay with that. But the ones it doesn't work on, I'm calling them back a week from now. And I'm just gonna be there for them. Because, I mean, I think I'll just use Canal as an example. You guys probably don't know him, but he's top 5 realtor in this office, came from Academy. His old approach would be, are you in the market? Are you in the market? Are you in the market? Like, that was basically what he would do to call. And he was very successful with it. Like, he had, he did well with it, but now he's begging for some AI support or somebody to could, go through his old leads, because he knew he was leaving so much on the table. But he was busy enough that he could leave things on the table. So I guess I'm talking from the perspective of, you don't want to leave anything on the table. If you didn't mind, then, and you were just screening people, then the screen might be, oh yeah, it's a brush off. Okay, we'll move on, call that person never, or give it to somebody else or whatever. But if you want everything on the table, then you definitely have to acknowledge.
How would you differentiate a call, like a non-receptive person,
Mhm.
between putting them like, okay, I'll give them a call in like a week or two or
Yeah.
whatever, or like, yeah, they want nothing to do with me. Cause I find like, most of the time they'll give you that vibe of I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if you're asking me personally,
Yeah.
I closed at about 8 to 15%, depending on the system I was using, but let's call it 12%, so 12 out of every 100 leads, I got a deal. And I think Teen would be the same, like they're always in play. You can tell me to F off, and I'd call you in a couple weeks.
Fair enough.
Why? Why not? You call me, tell me to F off again, maybe I don't call, maybe that is like,
That's the
Enough for
line
me?
twice.
yeah, but I don't, it's expensive, right? This stuff is all expensive, so if I can close 1% of the people I talk to, and get an $8,000 deal, I'll frickin' call you 100 times if I have to. Like literally, literally, I will make 100 calls to you, which takes me, what is it, maybe including the contacts that we make, maybe 300-400 minutes total. So like for an hour and a half, 2 hours of my time, just prospecting time, it's well worth it. And that's just like at 1 out of 100. So the numbers add up quickly when you look that our result is $8,500. And the input is like 3 hours a day. You know, it's not like it's, yeah. The math, when you think about it, start thinking about it like that, then the repetition becomes something you're willing to do. It's a really good question, really. And I can only use the example of like, Patricia, Shaylin and I, like, getting behind in the day. And so we just made 60 calls a day, and that was it. And then 90 days later, we were seeing money in the bank account. So it's just about doing like all of these little things. So even if you're not the best at it, volume overcomes that. Right? But no volume and not being amazing results in nothing. But low volume and getting really good at it results in something too. So I love the phone because I'm in complete control over that conversation. I can have fun with it. If it's a Hail Mary, like my favorite question to ask on the phone is what do you hate most about your current living situation? And just pauses people. And they're like, what do you mean? So we'll work on some of this stuff, but just in general, acknowledgement, if I just had to break it down. So acknowledge everybody. Simplest call might be, I'm not interested. Hey, a lot of people sign up for my website that I've worked so hard on. They're not interested to begin with, so I totally understand you. What do you hate about your current living situation? And that combination of acknowledgement and that question will always solicit an answer. Like, what is somebody gonna say? No, there's no yes or no. It's just they can decide not to answer. It's still gonna be a conversation.
Any one of us, I can't pick something about. Part of it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And if it, yeah, exactly. If you combine that with the fact that they just signed up for a website or did some kind of sign up, whether they think it was serious or not. And you're asking what they hate something because they just clicked on an ad for a nice, beautiful house or whatever the case is. Okay, so acknowledgement. Yeah, this might be the simplest way to summarize everything. Acknowledge what the person's saying, have some fun with it, and then go into asking them what they hate most about their current living situation. They do living situation because a lot of people are renting. And living situation covers it. Okay, so come on, but does that make sense? You just wanna say have fun with it.
Should you wanna, the conversion ratio by lead source, you want,
Yeah, go, no,
so cold, like a cold mailing, like if you mailed, it takes 2001. Cold internet lead generation is 1600 to 1. Cold phone solicitation, which is illegal here, 500 to 1. Door knocking is 100 to 1.
Yeah.
Personal contact with friends is 50 to 1.
Yeah.
Add call, like if someone sign call, is 25 to 1. Oh, sorry, sign calls are 20 to 1. Add call, I don't know what that is, but 25 to 1. Open houses are 15 to 1. Walk-ins 10 to 1. Past buyers 9 to 1. Past sellers 4 to 1. Referrals are 3 to 2.
Yeah.
So referrals are.
I don't know, 100%.
But like the wide margin of the
Yeah.
best lead source.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think that, the ratios there are, like. Who really says I agree with. I don't know that, like, I know for sure that you should close. 5 to 6%, so you should close 6 out of 100 leads, but sometimes, well, that would be, the way I measure it is about 2 years for myself.
Yeah.
So I'm at like 10-ish% right now, but it's obviously time's moving on. But that's where I used to be at, was about 10, I can't remember, like 10 to 12%.
That's
Uh,
pretty good.
over 2 years. Yeah.
That's really good.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's 100% doable. Actually, these were the way, when I was measuring me and Shaylin was about 8%. When we measured, the leads were like super crappy. Like the false find a home over, or, yeah, they're just bad leads. But the volume was there, like if you make, like, your closing ratios are gonna be 1,000 to 1. If you don't make 30, 40, 50 calls a day.
Like they keep calling it.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's 1,000 calls to every deal.
Yeah, but it makes sense, but
But
whatever it is, like those ratios, you know. The industry standard closing rate on online leads is 1%. But the two major factors that go into that are speed to lead, how quickly you call them, and number two, how often you call.
Right,
So that 1% is measured on people, generally speaking, who don't make phone calls and don't close speed. So, and that probably is too. right?
It's probably like.
So if you do it
need to Call
well-
the next 12 times, you have
Yeah.
to call 100 people to
Yeah.
make one deal, but
Yeah.
that's 1,000 to 1.
Yeah.
1,000 to 1.
If you do it well, the numbers are different, but the ratios make sense. So use and abuse your CRM to remind you when to call. With whatever I do in the morning, I open my tasks in my CRM, and I see what I have to do today. And then I plan it on my calendar. But, use your CRM to remind you what to do, and the only way you can remind yourself is by setting up tasks for future follow-up. So that's kind of number one, the first contact when you're keeping them relevant. And then the discovery piece. I'll tell you why I call it discovery. In the past, we've talked about booking discovery days as one of the ways to get somebody to meet with you. So there could be a Zoom meeting, there could be an in-person meeting, or there could be a discovery day. And a discovery day is when maybe they ask you for a showing, or you're talking to them on the phone and you say, hey, why don't we go on 3 showings to look at the houses you're looking at? We know you have the dog, why don't we I'll pick a couple that have big backyards, and then we can go through the house and we can talk about where things are at and what your needs are. Those are discovery days. Those are super successful and like 90% closing rate. And by closing, I mean signing an exclusive buyer's representation. So 90% will hire you after a discovery day. So great technique, works well. Tons of people in here use it and started using it. And it's a thing where you have to have the time to do those discovery days. But usually in that like top 25% is where I would say this discovery day idea works. Because in the top 5, they're already looking for things. This is a good time to meet and screen the one spouse that's super interested in buying a house, but the second spouse doesn't show up. This is where you can start to begin tying challenges together and opportunities. Both spouses meet, they're super keen, they talked about having the deposit, they just have to go to the bank. So now you're qualifying them in your own head. And that's super, super important. So discovery days, if you have the time. Plus, as a new realtor, you get to know houses, you get to know neighborhoods, start to learn schools. So there's a lot of benefits to a discovery day, which is different than running out for a show. Does that make sense? The running out for showing? So somebody calls, run out for showing, that's just showing very little value that you have. You're suddenly making yourself a door knocker. So try to get, even if somebody's asking you to run out and look at a house, say, hey, why don't we look at two? Okay, I'll pick one in the neighborhood, go have a look at it, see what we think of that as well. Personally, you say, no, I'm only interested in this one, which usually isn't true, or yeah, let's go have a look, and then that, let's go have a look. Gives you a chance to, you know, to connect, especially if there's, houses on that street. There's 2 houses or 3 houses on that street for sale, let's just go look at what we're competing against, you know? The other realtor has listed this house for this, you know, this house looks similar and it's listed for this. Let's go see what the differences are, so when we make an offer, we understand the differences between the two. Get good at this. Don't just run out for a showing. Turn it around to, yes, we'll do the showing. However, let's just go look at this one because I just noticed that it's went up yesterday as well. Or it's been sitting on the market for 60 days. Let's go have a look, see what's wrong with it, see if there's anything we can notice. And then we'll compare it to the house where, you know, that you're interested in. Do your job. Do your job, do your job, do your job. And, but this isn't obvious, right? Like it'll become obvious, but just like be creative, have fun, think about this as you're gonna find them that home. But hold yourself back from just yes for whatever, for no reason. Say yes for a reason. Say yes because I want to show you 2 in the block. Because if you're interested in this house, there's no doubt you want to at least know what the neighbor looks like. Right? So, and this is the definitely the 25% where you'll find this like, oh, I found a house, it's perfect. But I've never talked to you in the past, I've avoided your phone calls. But you are a realtor, you're a great realtor, let's go look at this house. I'm a great realtor, that's for sure. And because I'm a great realtor, I want you to see what else is available in the area. Okay? Don't be afraid to get on the phone, have fun. Every single one of you here is great on the phone, and great talking with people, so just do it. Whatever, so, exclusive buyers representation, that to me is being hired. That's okay, you're my realtor. So try to get hired. I wouldn't throw anything at somebody without any context. I would always be very specific on, you know, why they would be signing such an agreement. Because I think it's a huge value to you and it's a huge value to them. So don't be afraid, don't shy away from the exclusive buyers, and just say, hey, do you want to, or would you like to hire me as a realtor, or how about hire me as a realtor, whatever the case is. What that means is signing this document. Contract, whatever. Then make sure they have some kind of pre-approval. Or if you're comfortable with everything, the situation, you know, you're very welcome to go out and meet with people who aren't pre-approved. But I would suggest that pretty quickly you will try to make sure everybody's pre-approved. So just make sure they understand their budget. Because if you're going to 3 houses, the one they like, and then 2 other in the neighborhood, you're going to want to know they have the right amount of money that they can go with. We always assume that this is a negative thing, by the way, so, you know, if they're looking for a $500,000 house, we need to make sure you're pre-approved for, or we need to make sure you get pre-approval for 500. We're always thinking they're gonna be 400, but I'll tell you, a lot of times they're pre-approved for more than what they assume they'd be able to buy. So feel free to use that too. Not everybody kind of maxes their opportunity. Some people will be like very reasonable. And they get surprised by the bank who does want to lend money. So lenders want to lend. And if a person qualifies in any way, shape, or form, they'll lend that person the money. It's not always a bad thing to know what's in your wallet. And then, yeah, just be cautious. Touring with people who are not pre-approved can waste everyone's time. I'm not saying don't do it, but just be aware that if that person can't buy the house, or they're able to buy a more expensive house, you're literally spending your time and energy.
I made the mistake of showing a non-pre-approved buyer.
Yeah.
A house that they fell in love with, and then there was tears, a lot of tears, and I tell that story every time someone says they don't wanna get pre-approved first, I say, listen,
Yeah,
this exact thing happened. There were a lot of tears, I don't wanna do it again, and then they always they always do it after that.
Yeah.
Because that exact reason,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, and that's a great example. I'll use my examples of like people who looked at a house, they fell in love with it, and then they got pre-approved for 100 grand more and started shopping again. Right,
Oh.
so that's another thing, is like you can fall in love with the house, but what if, what if you're 600, not 500? Right, so,
Right.
so those are the things too, like your example's way more common, where it's like found a house, can't qualify, sad. But it happens the other way too, where they find a house, they're interested, and then they find out that they qualify for 600, and then they're off and hunting again. So it wastes their time, most importantly, but a little bit of your time.
Well, not just their time and my time, but also like the seller's time too, right? Cause they gotta like take their dog and their kids and like the house and like
Totally.
it's.
Yeah.
Like, it's everyone's time, it's.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this just goes, same thing, so purposeful touring. And by this, I mean, it's your job, this is why I don't like people running out with folks to things, but we're in this buyer guide segment. Your job is to make sure somebody understands how everything works together. What it means to go on a showing. It means the person, the seller having to exit the house for 1 hour with their children or their dog or whatever they have to. So educate people, but this is like serious stuff. We're putting people out. Yes, I'm really super happy that you want to buy a house. That's the main thing for me, but I do want you to understand how this all works together. Okay, so a person has to leave the house. We may see another house next door that you haven't asked to look at. Should we go look at that one as well? So start to just make sure you're educating your clients who are interested in going and looking at houses early on in the process. I educate about my time, like I'm a busy realtor. I'm good from 8 AM to 8 PM. I'll write deals and work on deals after 8, but I'm certainly not able to go on showings. I make sure I do a really good job early on, so I don't even have to show you many houses. I'll find you that house. We'll work on that together. But my job, my objective is not to be working 24/7. My objective is to be working 12 consistent strategic hours. And during those 12 hours, I can help you with your home needs and be very focused. So you don't spend extra time, I don't spend extra time. You know that you have your time free after 8 PM, unless we're in an offer situation, of which I'll only go to 10. Educate you, educate them. You are a professional. There's an accountant or a lawyer in the world that doesn't have you sign an engagement agreement. That engagement letter tells you what they are willing to, what they're able to do and when they're able to do. Don't be shy about having those conversations. It makes you look professional. Right? I just described how I work from 8 to 8, and it seems like I know what I'm doing. So just with the run out, a run out client can always be like converted or talked about doing other things, or you can look professional, not just the director.
Do you schedule showings even when you go on showings?
Sorry, say that again?
Like I read this recently, like, look, but this guy says he schedules his showings, he like time blocks them. It says like Tuesdays 6 to 8 or whatever, I have showings, and then what Thursdays 6 to 8 I have showings, whatever days it is.
Yeah.
He puts his showings in, and that way he can time block his prospecting and time block all the other aspects of his life. And then when he's like, if he doesn't have any showings on Tuesdays, he just doesn't do any showing. He can do whatever else he wants to do, but like, I thought it was really smart because then you can time block your life.
I cannot agree with you more. I
Agree with
personally
you.
have no idea how I can be here 6 hours a week
Right.
and others can't. I have no
Right.
idea how Shaylin can be here almost all the time, and others can't. I have no idea how you can't make 40 calls a day. Exactly that reason. Time block what you're doing, call it showings, call it I'm with a client, call it whatever you need to call it.
Right.
But do what you wanna do inside that time, and then create that reason externally. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but I think when you
I'm
apply, it's
sure.
like, I wanna do a showing, it's like, well, I have
Yeah.
Tuesday this time, or I
Yeah.
have Thursday this time. And then it's like, if they can't go in one of those spots, then you maybe finagle it in somewhere else in the schedule, like, whenever your showing times are, but that way, you can have a life, like, you can like have dinner with your family, and you
yes,
can like,
exactly.
you can like. Play
can-
hockey, or you can do whatever else you wanna do, but if you wanna play hockey, you time block your hockey, you know what I mean, like, you wanna have dinner with your family, you time block.
So let's just talk work. This game, this profession can be a roller coaster.
Mhm.
And people get themselves on a roller coaster. 5 deals, 0 deals, 5 deals, 0 deals, 2 deals, 0 deals, whatever.
Right.
The reason they get on that roller coaster is time blocking, prospecting. So every single day of your life, of your real estate life, or Monday to Friday, whatever you decide, you should be spending a couple hours a day prospecting. There's no, you could have 100 deals on the go, but if you're not spending those 2 hours prospecting, you're not gonna have additional deals 90 days from now.
Right.
Right, so, on that kind of, I have, showings from 10 AM to 1 PM every day. And that's what I use or talk to people about. That 10 AM to 1 is 30 calls, 50 calls, whatever you have to do to make money.
Right.
So, long-term time blocking, I think, is super important. And it's the reason why I can do this every day, Shannon can do this every day. We just know the 10 to noons, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are booked. I don't book
Right.
anything else into this time. Wow.
Well, exactly, I feel the same way, every week I block like this,
Yeah.
but it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I just feel like it seems odd, I think, like, it's not, I don't think it's intuitive to.
It-
To
you're right.
book your showings when you don't have showings, it seems
Yeah,
counterintuitive, but
Absolutely.
but when I read it in this book, I'm like, oh, it makes a lot of sense, because then you're not. When can I do this? Then you're not trying to fit it in, it's like, this is when I do it.
Yeah, or you begin, yes, you begin to think doing a showing is more important than 40 calls prospecting and
Right.
one more deal. Like, that's how it's kind of messed up in our brains too. It's like, oh, I gotta run out with this person, which may or may not result in anything. When I should be doing all my prospecting, which could result in something. That showing person's not going away, very unlikely going away. But if you
Right.
manage, you understand them, they understand you, they understand. So I couldn't agree with that.
Okay.
Showings or, you know, dinner, time with family, with clients, I don't care. It's a little white lie, but my family's my client too. So, you know, my clients.
Yeah, it's their appointment.
Yeah.
There's just food, so it's not an appointment, you know?
Yeah.
You and your wife have an appointment,
Yeah.
it's dinner,
Yeah.
at your kitchen table.
Yeah. But it makes you feel better and it makes it easier to explain. Well, where you eventually just say, I'm having dinner with my family. But I don't know why it's more difficult for them. All right. So yeah, just strategic showings. Buying people houses, like it's awesome. This is the best part of the deal. I know Nate uses Collab Center pretty aggressively, but he's always changing, always maneuvering the searches. Which I think is a must if you're going to use it. And then,
It's awesome, because I know who's gonna buy a house like right away.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
I
you see
know
it too.
before they tell me they're gonna buy a house, because I see their number go up from the collab center, I'm like, oh, all done. And then almost always,
Yeah.
like, if they're over 50, it's like they're buying a house, like,
Yeah.
they are absolutely buying a
Yeah,
house
yeah.
right away. So,
my app is ready and it's gonna, you'll love it. You'll
Yeah,
like it way
okay.
more.
okay,
Way, or your clients will like it. Anyways, it literally got added to the app store this morning.
Wait, wait.
Actually added, so there's a lot of stuff I still have to do, or Patricia still has to do, but
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
once it launches and everybody has it in their
was,
hands, then.
is it on the Samsung app, Android
Yeah.
store? What's it
I'm not
called?
gonna- I'm not gonna tell you. It's not ready.
I'm just gonna find it right now.
That's the problem. They made it live and I'm like, there's a lot of work to be done here. So I'm not telling anybody.
No Apple.
Developer Tim Grover, I'm looking it up right now.
No, you can't find it.
Certified
We'll find it
developer.
now. You'll find it.
You said it's not an Apple store?
It's in the Apple
Is it?
Store
Okay.
and and the Play Store.
Man, we gotta find this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you describing it.
Did they tell you what it's called? Okay.
You posted it on social media too.
Oh, yes, but not the name of the app. Okay, yeah.
We'll find it.
Like it's not connected to anything. I'll tell you, trust me. Okay, so here's the debrief of the sessions. I take some notes. Old days, I used to print off the hot sheets, and on the hot sheet, I would write, whether they're interested, not interested. And in the CRM, but now you can automate all this stuff. And then, yeah, just make sure you don't forget to watch for patterns, and adjust the search. And I think this is why Nate's is gonna work, which is what, like, very few people will adjust searches, away from a person's original requirements. Probably 100% of the time, the ending, the what you end up with does not exactly match the requirements that we're starting with. So what the person buys, house-wise, feature-wise, area, all of the requirements don't necessarily match the input requirements into Paragon. So that's why my system has AI system that alters searches continuously based on houses that people are looking for. And if they're most concerned about the kitchen, most often looking at the kitchen, that's the image that they'll see when they're scrolling, is all kitchens. And then until they kind of alter it a little bit. So the premise of this, the thing that I wanted to really do here is just use AI and get better and better at it. And then B, have something that adjusts constantly over time, like with every click. And then I wanted everybody to see every single click of the person that's using it too. And tendencies, frequencies, because there's a lot of predictive activity that goes into something like doing an online search. So from a customer standpoint, so if they're clicking different links to, painters, or different links to anything that they do on this search site is predictive to when they're gonna buy. I think you said this too, right? So, but you do it manually, which is great. You see the commonalities of the patterns that present themselves as a true and eager home buyer. Okay. You also see the patterns of somebody looking at something like a rent to own analysis on the site. And then, they may or may not show that they're fearful of buying. So they may be in that 70%. So I want to know that too. I want to know each of the categories that anybody on this app is where they're at, so we can decide how to manage them.
The author of just like Larry Kendall.
Yeah.
He was saying that, so they do this thing called the warm list, and it's like, so when someone's like potentially gonna buy, they call that you're gonna buy in like 6 months.
Yeah.
The next 6 months you're gonna buy, and they're like, we know they're gonna buy before they know they're
Right.
gonna buy. And they have like a couple, like a list, like a checklist of like things that, like, if this event
Yeah.
happens, they're likely
Yeah.
to buy a house in 6 months.
And everything from the first day I started real estate, Ninja Realty was like the first thing I read.
Right.
And the main thing that really always got me was the stats.
Yeah.
But also this predictability
Mhm.
of what people are going to do.
Yeah.
And this is why this app was passionate for me, is
So
like,
he had a guy who would come in with like an app just like you have. He's
Yeah.
like, this will give you every zip code of everyone who's gonna buy in the next 6 months. And he goes, this is crazy, let me see it. And he compared it against their, like, he got his top agents to like show their warm list. Identical matches.
Yeah.
They were like, identical match. He's like, it's crazy.
it's insane, like it's totally predictive. Yeah. And then the next step is like natural language search. So just saying into your phone, find a brown house in the Hamptons for me that has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a room for my dog. So we're getting very close to that. It's nuts, yeah, very close. Like it'll probably be 6 months, but in today's times, maybe it's a month, I don't know. Anyways, total tangent, thank you guys, but mainly ensure that if the number one thing you do For one of your primary functions is to set up searches for people, make sure those searches are relevant and not stressing them out like at the beginning. So searches that don't meet the requirements, they get, people might get nervous, oh, I can't find a house or this or that. Make sure you understand people on an emotional level. Now, when we get technical, so we treat people from an emotional standpoint, we need to educate them on the technical side. So we need people to understand what an offer looks like, what the elements that go into an offer are, and why each one of, I think, 7 terms that we have on that 6-page area contract matter. So with my clients, because I was so emotionally bent, like I wouldn't even give them estimated prices on the house, generally speaking. A couple investor clients I would. But I'd always leave and say, hey, I'll get you analysis, we'll go through this, I'll have, I'll know the number that's as accurate as the seller's number, and then we can negotiate 2 accurate numbers, or at least my accurate. So if I left a showing and they wanted to make an offer, I would send quickly a term sheet, and it's in the academy, but I'm going to show it right now. A term sheet where nobody has to waste their time because we have the terms laid out ahead of time. This is just like a little, this is something you can download. I upload it all the time. I'll show you why in a second. But I would text, here's how I would. So I would text this to my client, fill out the way I thought we should make the offer. They would text me back, comment, ask questions, whatever. Once we're settled on it, I text it to Shaylin, and the offer was written and sent before I got it. Right, so it was just instant. But everybody was clear. There was record on the I would probably email it as well, maybe, but I used to text. There was the record of, my client agreeing to the terms. I had everything just sitting on my text. I had the actual terms laid out, and then we just transpose these terms onto the purchase contract.
I send this with offer, but I send it to the other agent.
Yeah.
In email, I just say, hey, hey, look forward to working with you or whatever, and here is a snapshot of the offer, and I sent that, basically identical.
The only thing I would be concerned about there is anytime you want to get the actual contract of people, like no matter what they might.
Well, I attached the contract too.
Oh, I'm seeing, just
Yeah,
summarize.
yeah, just summary, I just find it makes
Yeah.
makes the agent
Yeah.
be like, okay, this guy's a
Yeah,
straight shooter,
yeah.
and I find the transaction goes smoother.
Yeah.
since I started doing
Yeah,
that.
for sure, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
This is pre.
But I never thought to send it to the client, that's actually
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, hey, just the heads up, this is what we're gonna send.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So send the offer price, blah, 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 but then I try to tell them like, hey, all dates that I only do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and I only make offers with dates that are up to 6 p.m. No 9 p.m.s, because a mortgage broker doesn't work, a lawyer doesn't work, and I don't like to work. So 6 p.m. is kind of the cutoff for any of the dates and times. But Tuesdays, because mortgage brokers are sometimes off, or lawyers are commonly off on Mondays. Wednesdays and Thursdays are safe. Fridays are devil days. Do never try never to write a term on Friday. Because what if your buyer's the buyer and the funds don't transfer on the Friday? That means they can't get into the house until Monday. But this is what I'll talk to people about. So I'll be on the phone, I'll say, hey, pull this up. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, this is the reason I do this. And then I'll say, this is why September 15th makes sense. Say, so I'll talk about the term, maybe the seller required something, or maybe the buyer had to move in by the 15th. We'll talk about the deposit. We'll talk about the due date of the deposit. So we'll talk about, I don't know if you can do this anymore, I probably can, but 3 days after acceptance of this deal is when I would give my deposits.
I write it on the initial offer,
Yeah.
and then it always gets changed to an actual date, by the time everyone's signing it.
Typically, right?
Yeah.
As they said, they stick to it, but it's me. So yeah, literally offer price, possession date, deposit. And then financing, inspection, condo doc review are most common. Then you may have, sale of buyer's property. But basically, I just send them everything that is specific to their case. And we talk about the dates, like this gives us enough time to, close by September 15th. It works because it's 6 PM and the inspector's gonna be finished, and then the lender is only gonna look at it until 6 PM on this date. So literally just these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms and a deposit date, actually, 7 terms. All that your customer has to start with.
You can upload that in the agreement.
Yeah, it should be in there, but I'll upload this one, edit it a little bit, but yeah. And then there's lots of things that may be relevant, and they're on the document as well, but tenancy schedule, so if you're buying a property with a tenant, your buyer's gonna wanna know the lease and everything else. Manufactured home schedule, so all the details around the actual manufactured home. Sale of buyer's property, if your buyer has to sell their property before they can buy this one, you're gonna need this schedule. And then any addendums. So just make sure it's specific to your situation. And then I've just got a list, and this is kind of an ongoing and growing list of additional terms. So you'll hear people refer to 9.2 terms. So these terms are things like, geez, just a basic one. Okay, so here, just the buyer retains the right to do a walkthrough within 7 days prior to possession. These are just samples. If you're dealing with like, discount brokerage, and you want your full commission, or you want a, typical commission, seller's brokerage agrees to pay buyer's brokerage 3.5% on the first 100,000 of the selling price, and 1.5% on the balance of the selling price. So keys here are seller's brokerage and buyer's brokerage. These are not. I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't use realtor, but I wouldn't. I'd use seller's brokerage. Don and I disagree with this.
Don, did you agree?
No, we don't disagree. He's just okay with people saying the seller agrees to pay the buyer's realtor.
I really fired represent.
Yeah.
Representative.
Yeah, which, yeah, like the
That's not
technical piece is the way the money changes, the seller's brokerage agrees to write a check to the buyer's brokerage, which is the actual way it works. So that's what I'm here.
But Don's a lawyer.
Yeah, but we did, like I said, it's not.
He's a lawyer,
Technically not correct. The seller is not writing a check. to
right?
the buyer's brokerage.
And that's why you don't write seller pays.
That's why I say it's the seller's brokerage. I think we don't disagree on it. He just okay with using, like if people use, the seller will pay the real seller. The seller will pay the buyer's realtor, but I don't really think that's a thing. So, but he's okay with it. That's all I'm saying.
So that.
I don't know if he agrees with this.
It's quite, I see a lot of signs out there, 2% realty, black sheep realty.
Yeah.
We're pretty much forced into, unless we use something like this, into accepting that lower commission, right?
I've never accepted a lower commission ever. And I don't know, I mean, it happens for sure, but if your client agrees that you should be paid for your services, they'll typically be okay with this in the agreement.
Can't be that picture for the brokerage, really, honestly, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Trying to go outside.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. Can't remember a time where I've written it in and it's not been okay. So don't be shy to write it in, like,
I think that those like 1% realty places and stuff, like I did a deal with them and I wrote almost that exact condition and then, yeah, fully got like the full balance, but I think that they don't get a lot of offers because
yeah,
a lot of realtors don't realize you
Yeah.
can just put that in there and get your full commission.
totally.
So I think a lot of realtors don't show their places.
Yeah, and then the seller is actually offering the discount because of the lack of fee, and then you go in and you negotiate the deal. So it ends up, I don't know, it's not very often where I think the the seller has a better outcome at the end,
Right,
financially.
yeah, I don't think so either.
Anyways, so just a variety of them in here. I think there's like good 6 or 7. Escalation clauses, read through these, but just know that someday you might need them, but mainly just like ask me and I'll refer you to this if that's the case. There's different people's clauses. There's a bunch of Neil clauses. There's some me clauses. There's a couple Shaylin clauses, a couple
That's great.
Sean Higgins. Yeah, it's really good. So
Tell us, we get a Google Docs, everyone can just add, every time anybody wants to put that server, they can add to it.
yeah, it just becomes like people remove stuff. And so
Oh,
it's- so
Yeah,
I like the idea, but I know.
We gotta get
tried a
that repo.
couple of times, but yeah, we could definitely, or let me know and I'll. Okay, so educate term sheets, buyer information. Oh my, okay. And then tomorrow's session, we're going to go through the actual contracts. So we'll go through the relationships guide, we'll go through the buyer's agreement, we'll go through purchase contract. It's not gonna be in depth, but what I do wanna do is just show things that you should pay attention to. We'll go in depth, I think, when Neil is here. He usually does like a 3-hour session. So we'll kind of defer to that a little bit, and then also Sean Hagan will be in to talk about contracts. So for me, what I want to be showing is just like maybe little things that can trip you up, or little opportunities inside of the language as well that can make it easier for them. Yeah, so one thing, again, this is a tomorrow thing too, but so it's really important, the condition period for you should be a very uncomfortable period. Most, a lot of realtors will just be like chill, like a deal went firm, they accepted it on the 20th. Conditions are the 25th, or sorry, the 15 days later, whatever, so the 5th or whatever. That period is like you managing the whole freaking process. Not doing the whole process, but coordinating inspections, helping them figure out, making sure they have the financing in place. If there's an appraisal needed, you're coordinating that. You have a lot of balls in the air while that period of time happens, and you have to start the second the deal goes firm. The second the deal goes firm, and maybe even before, we need to figure out the actual financing. Do not think that a pre-approval, there's one bank, RBC, that their pre-approval is firm right to the closing date. But everybody else, every other lender, the financing is fluid. So pre-approval just means that they pre-approved you that day. The day you bought the house, that's when they'll start actually doing the approval process. And when you'll get like a commitment letter eventually from the bank or the lender. Okay, so all I'm saying is keep this in mind. You might have 5 to 10 business days to deal with this, but don't leave it till the 8th business day. Like, don't get your nosy self. Don't wait until to the 8th day to get nosy. Figure out what it's going to take. Figure out the documents that your client might still have to get. Push them. Mortgage brokers sometimes don't care. Like, here's what you need to get them to me, and I'll wait for a week until the 2 days before. It's very, very common. So get the lender, get the mortgage professional working on the file as quickly as possible. Okay. And then mainly make sure your clients don't buy anything in this period too, on
I
credit.
have that in my.
No credit. Yeah, no credit.
I have
No
that
credit.
in
No credit until they move into the house. Like, literally no credit until they move into the house. Even if they need furniture and they need to go to the brick, figure out a way to do a
No,
brick
don't.
deal,
Just-
just don't
just
do it,
don't.
don't do it, yeah, even if you're, yeah.
Cause
if
if
you're
you pull
applying
everything
for
out of your
funding,
account, the bank's like, what's happening right now? They can pull that approval.
Yeah.
in.
That's true too,
Just don't.
yeah, don't do it, so.
I have my fires guy, like the whole thing, like, do not do this, like an exclamation point, like.
Yeah. All right, so, go firm, so this is just the pre-closing, same kind of thing, just make sure that everything is in order. I find that people with attention to detail outperform people with, like me, without any attention to detail. On the comfort level of a deal from going firm to closing. Because folks with attention to detail will have a process, will remind themselves to do things. And kind of make it a lot easier on their clients and themselves. Unfortunately, personally, I fall down as soon as the deal's done. I'm like. On to the next thing, or doing the next three things, or whatever it is. So make sure
Do you
that,
use Milton?
Hmm?
Do you use the Milton? Bridge?
I do, yeah,
I find
yeah.
that really helpful.
Yeah, I've used a lot of things recently to, not necessarily for real estate transactions, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a checklist and an email template.
Yeah.
This is where we're at, and then I send it to them.
Make your day easier.
Yeah.
Possession date, smooth handoff, make sure that. Prior to closing, they have, the utilities turned on. Insurance on the property. If there's been things like aluminum wiring highlighted, make sure they have the insurance. In place before they take over the keys. Always make sure your clients know that closings are not always the day that they're written on the piece of paper. A lot of things can affect closing, late funds, affidavits from sellers, RPRs, title insurance, just the times of day. The realtor was out for lunch from noon to 2, didn't get to the file until 2, couldn't get it done until 4. The money can't get to the brokerage by whatever time. So there's lots and lots of reasons, so don't have the moving truck. I would suggest don't have the moving truck that day. If it's a Friday, you're screwed. See, this is another reason why we don't do Fridays. Thursdays are possession days. Thursdays are possession days in case anything goes wrong. Hopefully, we can get it all done by Friday. That way, your clients have taken off Thursday and Friday, but they haven't just taken off Friday and been screwed over the weekend.
Do you know how many days it is between possession date for selling property? How many days grace you get for a conversion?
Oh, that'll 1,000,000% depend on your financial situation. So, yeah, I've seen a lot. I've seen bridges for 2 days because of timing. I've seen 60 days because of a late possession, like a construction possession on the buy side and the sell side. They were able to get 60 days, so I've seen it all. But I would say typically if it's a bridge, it's gonna be like maybe something like shorter term.
Well, it's gonna recommend like the next day, not the day of possession, the next day. Just to be
I
safe.
do. People are, realtors are 50-50. Yeah, I always do it up. So I think our clients have the most flexibility as the buyers taking possession than giving up possession. That's my favorite, but.
It is a good question.
And it is situational too, on the client. So after possession, I'm gonna send this to you guys, but basically stay in touch with your clients, do what they need you to do. And then I am going to upload this into the session. That is it.
Good session, great session.
Yeah, really great.
So do you like this format of more the worksheet that you'll take away?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
And even better, it'll be like you developing the worksheet. So this content will be there and then you'll have area for notes below each.
We'll get it before, so we can print it and like have that as like a,
Oh, yeah.
like
Good
if we can get it
question.
before, print it, and then I can be writing my stuff on it. Yeah.
It's a good idea. Yeah. Very good. Good. Yeah, that's a really good idea. John V, see you.